When it comes to Denver's bike infrastructure, beauty really is in the eye of the beholder. The city says it upgraded protected bike lanes downtown at Blake and Market Streets by removing those bollards that protect the bike lanes. Well, bike advocates, including the mayor's Bicycle Advisory Committee, want those changes reversed. 2 years ago, after the original installation, DOTI has now removed most of those bollards. Those are those short white posts, that keep the cars out of the bike lanes. Now they've got a new design they're testing, adding Zikla zippers. They look like small little curbs. The city says they didn't like how the bollards look downtown, and they're really hard to maintain. The last year's worth of maintenance records show 25 of the 485 bollards had to be replaced or repaired. Those repairs cost the city about $2,700. Here's the thing though, removing those bollards is a $200,000 job. Bike advocates say it's really a confusing use of the city's limited funding for bike infrastructure. DOTI says they're playing the long game, developing a new design that can be used to protect future bike lanes. In our next conversation, photojournalist Chris Hansen sat down with DOTI's Executive Director, Amy Ford.
Mr. Ford, thank you for taking the time today. It's only been two years since this lane was installed. Mm-hmm. Why weren't these aesthetic conversations happening prior to in that initial design?
Mm-hmm. I think in the initial designs, this was part of our rapid response. With the previous administration and others, we had a goal of deploying over 150 miles of bike lanes throughout the city. And so the goal was to move in, do it fast, do it as quickly and cost efficiently as you possibly could. I think as we are coming in now to go moving past that phase, we're continuing to look about how we move it down the continuum of design. And as you know, we've always had the end game of the full permanent solution with how we think about the concrete and wanted to continue to move us down in the direction of that. We think that this is that step.
You think this is a step towards more concrete, more hardened infrastructure on bike lanes across the city?
Yeah.
There's been such criticism of the change. People that use the lanes are not seeing it as an upgrade.
Well, the protected bike lane is there. It's safe. We have the Zikla environment. I think that how people use the lane hasn't changed. I think that some have asked a question about, well, whether or not there could be a concern that vehicles could come over those Ziklas in a way that they couldn't if there were more bollards in between. And I think one of the things that we're looking at is we're continuing to monitor that particular design, sort of how we've done the configuration of it.
Talk to me a bit about the decision to make a change and the lack of public engagement around it.
No, we did talk about this. So we talked about it in regards to our 2025 work plan. We talked about it at council meetings. We talked about it with the bicycle advocates. So we had those conversations. The exact design on how we did it on Blake and Market, no, I don't think we talked about that specifically. But no, we were very open and transparent in the fact that we were starting to look at context-sensitive solutions. Marion Parkway is a good example of someone that started in a temporary configuration and shifted then, once we had the dollars, into that.
Tricky with Marion Parkway is that a death also resulted prior to the installation of the concrete.
Did it, timing-wise?
I believe so.
But when I drive by that particular ghost bike every day, and not quite in the bike lane environment. So the bike lane was already there, and the protected environments are over to the other side of that. So anyway, coming back to Blake and Market, so as we sit and we look, one of the things that we're always looking at is how do we think about materials, how do we think about design, how do we continue to think about the maintenance of those particular items, how do we think about safety, and how do we put all those pieces together.
You can find the full unedited interview on 9news.com and the Next YouTube channel.